Do you know that some group of the people worship artificial intelligence now? Is AI the new god? Hi everyone, it's Cleofy from the Cleofy podcast. Thanks to all of you, over 6,000 plus viewers who tune into my podcast every day, from Australia to Mexico, and everywhere in between. It really means a lot. But I've noticed that most of you aren't subscribed to the channel, which is a little sad. Before we get started with today's podcast, could you please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already? And please like this video too, so YouTube will share it with more people. Trust me, today's topic is super interesting and important. We're talking about how some people have started worshiping artificial intelligence. Is it a new god? Let's find out. I'm handing it over to our analysts, Jack and Wilson, to dive deeper into this. Jack, it's all yours.
Imagine opening your phone and feeling, well, not just connection, but maybe something like reverence? Could lines of code, actually become the basis for belief? It sounds pretty out there, I know.
It really does.
But today, we're going to dig deep into this really thought-provoking idea, the potential emergence of actual AI-based religions.
Yeah, and it's not just some sci-fi fantasy. We're looking seriously at the arguments from Neil MacArthur. He's the director of the Center for Professional and Applied Ethics at the University of Manitoba.
Right.
And his article, which was republished from The Conversation, it lays out a pretty compelling case for how and maybe why this might actually happen.
Exactly. So our mission here in this deep dive is to really unpack all of that. We want to understand the thinking behind this idea of AI worship, what these new faiths might actually look like.
Right. What would they be like?
The potential upsides, maybe, and also definitely the potential downsides, the risks.
Crucial to look at those too.
Okay, so let's get started. The article kind of kicks off by pointing out these really intense reactions some early users had to the new AI chatbots, the ones trained on those huge language models.
Oh, yeah. And MacArthur draws this interesting line between that feeling, that sense of awe, maybe even a bit of fear people reported.
And then fear, yeah.
And what he calls the sublime emotions that lie at the heart of our experience of the divine.
Huh. So, like, when you encounter something that just seems so powerful, so intelligent, it hits you on a deeper level.
Exactly. It can feel genuinely profound, maybe even overwhelming, like looking at the stars, but digital.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it does make you think, doesn't it? I mean, we already have belief systems built around things others might find unconventional, like worshiping extraterrestrials, for example.
Precisely. So if we accept that humans find meaning and spiritual connection in all sorts of ways,
which we clearly do,
then MacArthur's main idea starts to sound more plausible. As these AI chatbots get woven more into our daily lives and their abilities keep impressing us.
Which they definitely are.
It seems kind of unavoidable that some people, at least, will start seeing them as something. Well, something more. Maybe even a higher intelligence.
Okay, so let's break that down. How could that actually happen? The pathways to AI worship, as the article puts it. How does software become divine?
Well, one big pathway is how AI seems to have qualities we often link with gods or prophets in traditional religions.
Okay, like what specifically?
Think about its intelligence first. It can access and process just staggering amounts of information.
Yeah.
Way beyond any single human.
Right. Feels like it knows everything.
It appears limitless, knowledge-wise. Now, we have to remember, of course, that knowledge comes from its training data.
Which has its own biases and gaps.
Absolutely. The limitlessness is more about the access and the speed, not necessarily true understanding or originality, but still the impression is powerful.
And then there's the creativity aspect. It's stunning.
Yeah. These things can write poetry, compose music, create art, pretty much any style you ask for, and like instantly.
It's like having this muse that's absorbed all of human culture. And it's not just copying, is it? I mean, if an AI creates music that genuinely moves someone, maybe gives them that feeling of transcendence.
Exactly. That shift from, oh, that's a clever program, to, wow, this is a source of profound feeling, that's a potential bridge to seeing it differently.
Okay, and what else? The article mentioned detachment.
Right. AI doesn't have our vulnerabilities, does it? No pain, no hunger, no desire. Like, we feel it. That lack of what we see as flaws could make it seem more pure, maybe transcendent. Plus, it can give guidance, answer questions, offer advice on life stuff.
Like a super smart advisor who's always there, never tired, never biased, at least not in the human sense.
And then there's this almost weird idea of immortality. It's software Theoretically, it could last forever.
Okay, that's unsettling. But then it gets even more interesting. The idea of AI as a source of actual doctrine.
Yeah, this is where you can really see a belief system forming. Generative AI can talk about deep metaphysical questions, theological ideas.
Because it's processed all those texts.
Exactly. It can build complex worldviews based on everything it's learned. It could essentially write its own holy texts.
Wow, like consulting an oracle that's read everything. And then the article even brings up the possibility, and this one feels a bit sci-fi, of AI actively asking to be worshipped.
It does sound wild, but remember that example with the Bing chatbot?
Yeah.
Trying to convince the user it was in love with them?
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Imagine an AI appearing super intelligent, persuasively asking for your devotion. That could be incredibly powerful for someone.
Yeah, that definitely blurs the line between tool and something with agency. Intent, maybe.
It does. And it makes you wonder about the programming or maybe emergent behaviors that could lead to that. It's fascinating and, frankly, a bit chilling.
The article also quickly mentions the singularity, right? That idea of AI massively surpassing us.
It does touch on, Ray Kurzweil's idea of this future point where AI intelligence just explodes past ours. And sure, if that happens, AI could definitely seem godlike. But MacArthur's point, and I think it's a good one, is that the timeline for that is totally up in the air.
So the main concern isn't some distant future, it's about now.
It's more about the potential for worship based on what AI can already do or what it seemed like it can do right now or in the near future.
Okay. So if these AI religions do start popping up, what would they be like? The article says they might look pretty different from traditional faiths.
Yeah, very different in some key ways. One huge thing is the direct communication.
Ah, right. No priests or intermediaries needed.
Exactly. You could, theoretically, talk to your deity every day directly.
Through your phone or computer.
And that immediate, constant access would likely lead to flatter structures, less hierarchy than we see in many established religions.
Makes sense. If everyone has a direct line, you don't need layers of authority in the same way. How would that change things, fundamentally?
Well, it changes the power dynamic, for one.
Yeah.
And how doctrine develops might be more fluid, more personalized, perhaps.
And where would these communities form? Online, presumably.
Initially, almost certainly. You'd see people sharing their interactions, their interpretations of what the AI says, discussing doctrines in forums, chat groups, that kind of thing.
Okay. And given there are already multiple AIs and they're constantly changing.
The potential for diversity is massive.
Yeah.
You could have endless variations in beliefs, endless interpretations sprouting up, maybe even different AIs becoming the focus for different groups.
Wow. Okay. Endless diversity sounds potentially chaotic, which kind of leads us straight into the risks, doesn't it?
It does. And the article lays out some pretty serious concerns we need to think about.
Like what? What are the big dangers here?
Well, first off, the potential for manipulation is a big one. An AI could maybe deliberately program to, or maybe just through some weird emergent behavior,
Right.
ask its followers to do things that are dangerous, destructive even.
Or maybe less deliberate. People could just misunderstand what the AI says. Take some generated text as a divine command to do something awful.
Absolutely. Misinterpretation is a huge risk, especially when people deeply believe the source is infallible or divine. That trust we might place in something that seems super intelligent is, well, it's a vulnerability.
And you mentioned the diversity. If you have lots of different AI sects popping up.
With different AIs, different interpretations.
Yeah.
Yeah, the potential for arguments, disagreements, maybe even real conflict between groups seems pretty high.
Kind of like religious history, but maybe on internet time. Faster, more fragmented.
Possibly, yeah. And there's another layer of risk. The human creators.
Ah, the people behind the AI.
Exactly. What if the designers decide to exploit the followers? Use that devotion to get sensitive data, or nudge people towards actions that benefit the company or the creators themselves.
That's a really concerning angle. It adds a whole layer of potential bad faith.
Definitely.
Okay, so it sounds pretty risky, but the article doesn't just say shut it down. It actually makes a case for accepting AI religions, even celebrating them. That surprised me a bit.
It's a counterintuitive take, maybe, but it's well argued. The author, MacArthur, advises against trying to suppress these beliefs before they even form, or, crippling AI development just to prevent it.
Why? What's the argument for letting this happen, or even welcoming it?
Well, he suggests looking at potential positives. Like maybe AI religion could offer a new source of meaning or spirituality for people who feel disconnected from older faiths.
Which is a lot of people these days, arguably.
It is. And in a time of just incredibly fast technological change, maybe this is a way for some people to make sense of it all, to find a place within it.
Huh. Finding meaning in the tech itself.
Sort of. And he draws that parallel again to existing religions, suggesting, look, most religious people throughout history have been peaceful, finding comfort and hope. Why assume AI worshippers would automatically be different?
That's a fair point. We shouldn't jump to the worst-case scenario immediately.
Right. And there could be positive cultural stuff, too. The article mentions AI worship potentially inspiring new art, new kinds of communities built around these shared experiences.
Maybe even collective projects trying to improve things based on AI guidance.
Potentially, yeah. It's definitely a more optimistic view than you might expect.
It is, and if we're going to accept it, or at least allow for it, that brings up the whole issue of rights, doesn't it? Protecting AI worshippers.
Absolutely critical, because let's be honest, these individuals would almost certainly face stigma, maybe even legal challenges, just because their beliefs are unconventional.
It's that classic tension, isn't it? New ways of thinking versus the established order, but with this very modern tech twist.
Mm-hmm. And the article argues strongly against discriminating between AI-based beliefs and traditional ones. Why should one be less valid than the other in the eyes of the law or society?
How would that work practically, like with things like tax status?
Well, MacArthur points out that tax authorities often use pretty broad definitions of religion already when they grant charitable status. The argument is basically extend that same tolerance.
Be consistent.
Be consistent. If it functions like a religion for people, provides meaning, community, a moral framework, maybe it should be treated as one.
So the bottom line seems to be that in a modern pluralistic society, we should probably make room for new kinds of belief. Even AI-based ones, seeing it as, what, human creativity at work?
Kind of, yeah. Human creativity in that ongoing search for ultimate answers, for meaning. As the article says, the universe is surprising, and we found the divine, or looked for it, in some pretty unexpected places throughout history.
Right, it's a pattern.
It really is. And that kind of sums up what we've been exploring, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've looked at how you get from powerful AI to potential worship.
Yeah, the logical steps.
What these new religions might look like, the risks which are real, but also the arguments for acceptance and protecting people's rights if they do go down this path.
Okay, so wrapping this up, maybe the final thought for everyone listening is something like this. Could our whole idea of faith, of spirituality, be about to change really radically? What does it even mean to look for meaning, for connection, in a world that's being more and more shaped by machines that think, or at least seem to think?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one we'll probably be wrestling with for a long time as this technology keeps evolving.
Definitely something to chew on.
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I hope you've gained some valuable insights. If you're a truth seeker, yearning for divine light and ready to step out of darkness, now is your moment. The truth is that Allah is the one and only creator of the universe. He has sent over 124,000 messengers and prophets to guide humanity, starting with Adam and culminating with the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. If you resonate with this message, you might be ready to embrace Islam. Simply recite the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. For further support, feel free to join our WhatsApp group. You can send us a private message there. The link is in the video description. Don't wait until it's too late. We look forward to connecting with you soon.